past weekend, Battlefield 6's open beta dropped. I put 31 hours on it before it went out for the week, and my personal consensus is, we are so bad. It's no secret, Battlefield hasn't been in its element for quite some time. On October 21st, 2016, Battlefield 1 dropped. Now, I'm not insulting Battlefield 1, but it's a World War I game. It's an interesting premise, sure, but it's mostly for people that are familiar, or at least interested in that time period. I have huge gripes with the sniper sweet spot mechanic and how overpowered all the vehicles were. Oh, but Jay, it's World War I, there weren't many ways to deal with vehicles. And Battlefield is an arcade shooter splashed with a touch of milsim. There's no reason they couldn't have made it a bit more fun or engaging than repairing inside of the tank with infinite shells. The sweet spot mechanic is a terrible design choice because it grants way too much power to the recon class. If you're unaware of the sweet spot mechanic, bolt-action snipers have a specific distance that changes per rifle, where if you're shot in the body, you just fucking die. This encourages camping, and due to the lack of suppression having any meaningful impact in the game, there's no real way to deal with more than one sniper on any defensive location. And Battlefield 1 has almost no damn cover anywhere on a lot of the conquest maps. Assaults were a frustrating design choice, but it was a new one. With the lack of an engineer class, due to the lack of vehicles' prominence in history at the time, Assault became a fragger frontliner. This means there's a class that's just inherently better than everyone else by design. The only reason to play these other classes is to keep this guy alive and well stocked. Overall, the change in direction from Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 1 was definitely an odd decision at best. Then there was the fiasco with Battlefield 5 on October 11th, 2018, but the only thing important to this video is that Battlefield 5 is another old war period game. Battlefield 5 is fun, but it has its own set of issues. And again, it's about a war that many people might not find interesting to be playing a game in. Time goes on and EA decides to do the unthinkable, nearly kill their franchise. No matter what anyone says, if you like Battlefield 2042, that's fine. But it's not a Battlefield game. It only has the title, nothing more. Battlefield 2042 is the bastard child of Battlefield. Battlefield's entire moniker is your importance as a player is only as important as the team you're with. Supports are only as helpful as the people they're supplying. Medics are only as important as the people they're reviving. You get the idea. But in 2042, with the implementation of specialists and removing, then gutting, then re-adding classes, the focus on individuality puts a huge stain on the identity of the series. You are not a grunt fighting with your squad to help your team when the recruiter promises you a Dodge Charger. You're Sundance, and your most important part of your lore is that you're a strong, independent, orphaned black French woman with they/them pronouns. I'm not kidding, that's in the wiki. I don't give a shit. The person I'm playing as is supposed to be me. I'm putting my shoes into the character I'm playing, which is why female soldiers don't bother me, because what if there's a girl playing this game and they want to customize their character? Now, I wouldn't put this in a World War II game, but I digress. Player choice is the #1 most important part of character customization. Unfortunately, Battlefield 5 is the only one with character customization so far. Adding lore and backstory and hero quotes to these jackasses doesn't garner anything with anyone, because it feels as if my accolades, my achievements, and my successes aren't because I'm a great player, but because I picked a hero that's supposed to succeed. I didn't win because I'm a great shot, a great medic, a great sniper, a great gunner. I won because I picked the guy who's already good at these. Your success feels watered down and lackluster when your ability is dumbed down to a superpower. 2042 is a spit in the face to the Battlefield community, and no amount of gaslighting on any social media is gonna make the game any better, because it's not a Battlefield game, it's a disgrace. Then, 4 years after the release of 2042, Battlefield 6 drops its beta. When I loaded in, when I shot those guns, when I saw my character was a no-name McDickhead, I felt something. I felt at home. I felt like a kid on his PC drinking Dr. Pepper with pizza in front of him with his parents yelling in the living room. Granted, that was last week, but you get what I mean. Battlefield felt back. It's a return to form in the best way. It's not perfect by any means, but they did such a damn good job nailing the foundation that they showed me these past few days. There's a handful of design choices I don't agree with, but I loved playing it every second. Starting off, these maps are great. I'm a big proprietor for infantry in Battlefield. I feel that's where the squad sees most of its value. Everyone has a role, albeit engineer may not have a large portion if there's no vehicles, but his SMGs always gave an advantage in the CQC fights that infantry brings. But these maps aren't infantry only. They have vehicles that have access to a majority of the points, and even though I died a shit ton to them, they never felt too strong to me. Even tanks with 3 or 4 engineers repairing them at once, I still felt as if a good flank could take them out if I had my team. So for the first positive point, vehicles aren't OP. There weren't any choppers or tanks that I saw that were doing 90-0 with no pushback. There was an actual threat of being a tanker that felt great to see. So my biggest gripe with Battlefield 4 and 1 are dealt with. The weapons feel great to use and the customization on them isn't too intrusive, but just balanced enough that you can make something out of nothing. The default LMG for support has really bad hipfire, but great deploy fire because it comes with a bipod. Somehow, I found a way to get a 200-round box mag into my LMG with great hipfire benefits at the cost of my ADS. It didn't make me overpowered, it simply changed my playstyle from deployed stationary medium to long to close range mobility. And because the reload was so long, I was able to suppress and scare off enemies with my 200 rounds without needing a reload for quite some time. The classes make a triumphant return, and with some pretty large changes. Every class has a specialization choice like in Battlefield 5, like a job. For example, in Battlefield 5, the support has 2 choices: Machine Gunner, where suppressed enemies were marked on the map, and Engineer, where you could repair vehicles and make cover faster than anyone else. They also get unique gadgets to the job you chose. There's also abilities per job. Now granted, none of these are overpowered. Basically, think of it as an extension of your kit with an extra ability. Assault gets a booster that makes enemies louder to him, and when within 5 meters, he can see them. When he kills someone, it extends the duration of this booster for 5 seconds. Recon gets a UAV that can actually be shot down by the enemy if they see it, but the UAV scans enemies in a large area and can detect enemy gadgets. Support becomes a walking ammo bag, and Engineer gets a stronger repair torch for a couple seconds. I don't mind these because they're just bonuses, not things to be making the entire class around. It's not an identity that the class is centered around. Now for some major changes, Assault gets 2 primaries now. Support is now a medic and a support class in one, granting health and ammo. Recon doesn't feel much different to me, to be honest. Engineer makes a triumphant return after 3 games without him, and he can carry the repair torch and 2 different rockets. Now this beta wasn't perfect, but at the end of the day, it's a beta. It's nothing major. Like I said back when I spoke about 2042, I meant it. Launch and beta bugs don't bother me and aren't a tell of the final product. So the jumping, the map manipulation, and the bugs didn't really mean a lot to me. I just wanted to feel the framework, and what I got was all I've been asking for almost a decade. So if you were curious on my opinion this weekend, or needed a second opinion from someone who knows their Battlefield, this is the greatest return to form they could have chosen. They didn't fuck up. They did a great job. And as I write this, the beta just ended, and I'm suffering from withdrawals until next weekend. Now, if you're wondering, Jay, what's the catch? What's the downsides of the beta? What did you not enjoy? Well, you're right. I have quite a lot of gripes with the beta, but they might or might not get addressed as time goes on. First and foremost, the sweet spot mechanic makes a horrible return. It fucking sucks. It wasn't in the game after Battlefield 1 and it should have stayed gone. The sweet spot mechanic is fundamentally a bad design choice. It encourages camping to a severe degree, because you can even get something on a lot of the bolt actions called a rangefinder, or you could get used to the range of your gun, and if you do all that, you can safely one-shot kill any enemies that are within that specific range. Get shot in the head by a sniper? It's frustrating, but not OP or over the top. It's a skillful play to actually shoot someone in the head in these games, at least in some installments. Bullets are slow and have gravity, so if you're shot in the head from 80 to 100 meters, it's entirely skillful and respectable from a sniper and victim's perspective. Getting lethally put down and not being able to be revived, that's a skill point to the sniper. He actually had to hit you in the head. But if you're sitting on top of a mountain where enemies cannot run to you easily, where your sweet spot covers an entire point, then it's just retard's first point and click adventure because you're going to kill anyone you see. It makes being sniped frustrating as hell due to the lack of skill. Do 60 damage to the chest? Fine. Do 80 damage to the chest? Fine. But a full-blown one-shot to the chest that puts me down? That needs to go. It's completely unacceptable. The class abilities are odd. I don't love them, and I'm unsure of what they do half the time. For assaults, it's literally wall hacks within 5 meters, but I couldn't get it to ever work. I don't like it, but it doesn't contribute very much other than just kind of pretending it has value. Enemy footsteps are hard to hear anyway, even with this stim. Recon UAV is probably the only example of an ability that is a major part of his kit that complements his playstyle. I respect the UAV. It has counterplay by shooting it, and it's not too strong. Just a long duration enemy tracker, that's all it is. Engineers is nice, but like, it could be better. Maybe perhaps changing it instead of 50% stronger repairs, maybe infinite repair duration for 10 seconds. You know, that way you can contribute to it and keep sustained repairing instead of just like an Uber charge, you know? And supports is fine, but it's weird. You become a mobile ammo bag and your defibs charge basically instantly. Like, just let me carry a secondary ammo box that I can throw to people and just keep throwing it or throwing it out. You know, from 2042, that one was actually a really good idea. There's locked weapons and open weapons. So there's a bit of a debate on if this game should let anyone use anything or by locking specific weapons such as battle rifles for assault, LMG for support, snipers for recon, and SMGs for engineer. I believe there's a balance to obtain here, but I'm 100% all for locked weapons. It gives more identity to the classes and doesn't make things too complicated to understand. Having a couple categories of weapons that are available to everyone, DMRs, carbines, and shotguns, grants a bit more flexibility that many folks want, but it's not so much that it removes the basic understanding of the class. However, I will say shotguns should be restricted to assaults only. They are very, very, very good and need to be restricted. If not restricted, then unfortunately have their range reduced. I don't want to do it, but I don't get upset when I die to a shotgun within 5 meters or 6 or 10, but 20, 30, 35 meters? That's a little much. In this game, they took a huge inspiration from Bad Company 2, and now support is the definitive medic and support class. You not only give ammo, you give health as well. You can also revive faster and pick up dragged allies faster. They got rid of medic and just made one class do it all. As a support player, I don't hate being able to revive and give ammo because now I'm always near the top of the leaderboard because I'm a support player through and through. I'm not a great shot, but I'm a great team player. But because of this takes away a lot from the assault class and bloats a lot of the support class. Something that Battlefield 5 did really well was not just the squad revives, but the fact that medic had the morphine syringe in his base kit as a passive. So a big complaint from Battlefield 4 and 1 is that medic or assault for 4 was designated to 2 gadgets, defibs and the medbox. They could bring other things, but a medic without healing supplies isn't really a medic, especially since it tells downed allies where you are and frustrates them with the fact that you can't fix them. In Battlefield 5, you can bring the medbox and 1 gadget to assist you. This was a great change. In Battlefield 6, luckily there's dragged revives you can do to anyone, and you don't need defibs in your kit, so this was a good change by gameplay standards. Unfortunately, taking away medbox and healing from assault and shoving it into support takes away a lot of the importance from assault and bloats a lot of support's kit, meaning this little box you throw down is the single most important team-based gadget in the game. With that, assault lost a lot of team play this entry, and I feel it could be fixed in the future with new jobs he could take, but if they're gung-ho on him being a frontliner, he's never going to be the assault we all loved in Battlefield 4. Assault cannot heal, he cannot supply, he cannot mark, he cannot repair, he can't even damage vehicles very well, at least in the beta. Maybe there's an anti-vehicle grenade launcher he'll get in the future, but for now, he doesn't really do much. Assault is designated as the anti-infantry class only, which is fine on paper, but just like Battlefield 1, the other 3 classes are designed just to keep this guy supported. This is the main character syndrome of the classes. He's great at killing people, and that's about it. His passive to bring 2 primaries is also not very good for team cohesion and can lead to frustration amongst the community. If Assault brings a rifle for medium and long distances, and then you know to counter him you gotta get close to him, he's just going to switch to shotgun and then swap back to rifle. He becomes a jack of all trades that's good in just every combat situation. The weapon sling also has a downside. Both of his primaries have reduced ammo, which means he relies a ton on having a support in his squad. This also goes back into locked and unlocked weapons. If weapons are locked, Assault is the strongest frontliner with his weapons. If weapons are unlocked, just play support with a battle rifle or engineer with a battle rifle. Assault in the beta has absolutely 0 team play around his kit, just his kill potential, which I can match if I just equip a carbine or a shotgun on support. Now I know they'd never do this, but if Assault is supposed to be the fastest and strongest frontliner, then something they could give him is a fireman carry. If Assault runs to an ally to revive them, he can do a fireman roll. This roll places downed enemies on your shoulder and lets you run/jog with them on your back to get them to safety. It would increase reduce how long it takes to revive an ally, but it almost guarantees safety by moving them from their position extremely fast. Alternatively, you can drop them next to a support or have a support revive them off of your shoulders. This would give Assault a much needed team play ability that he currently just doesn't have. Plus, it'd be really cool. Next, unfortunately, are defibs. They are very, very, very good. Defibs in Battlefield 4, if held for a certain amount of time, would increase the amount of HP given to the revived ally. You could always tap pick up allies, but if you tap revived allies, it picked them up with like 10 HP. This was smart to get someone up quickly with pursuing enemies on the way. You could then heal your ally with a med bag after you got them to safety. In the beta of Battlefield 6, tap reviving allies puts them at 50 HP. That's a lot for a quick tap. Holding them down still revives them to full, which is a good time save. But now you can also sprint with defibs fully charged to run to allies and revive them quicker. This is good and this is bad. You see, fully charging defibs wasn't always the safest in Battlefield because it took a pretty significant amount of time and it slowed you to a crawl or a walk. Charging defibs in Battlefield 6 takes almost no time at all because defibs are the strongest melee weapon in the game. Allowing you to sprint and fully charge grants you the ability to run around and instantly melee kill people with defibs. As much as I really like the ability to sprint and charge defibs into a slide to get allies up, it feels cinematic and helpful in a lot of ways. But if sprinting allows me to clear points with my defibs alone, then I really don't mind losing the ability to sprint, or at least reduce my speed. Executions are buggy as hell, but at the very least they're first person again, so I'll take it. What? Alright, out of all of the maps, Ridge is my least favorite. It's not a bad map, it's just the lowest on my tier list. I have a lot of problems with Ridge though. My problems with Ridge are the choke points. It seems to me that Ridge is designed to be a breakthrough map without any of the breakthrough objectives. Ridge has hardly any flank positions. One side of the map is drastically overpowered compared to the other one, and snipers make this map a fucking nightmare. Normally, sniper glint isn't that big of a deal, but with the sweet spot mechanic in place, this map is almost unplayable. This map needs to fix its out of bounds and stop people from spawning on the mountains. They need to add more flank positions and roads to all points, and a drastic increase in cover. Otherwise, the vehicles feel nice and play nice on this map due to the open feeling of all of it. Requiring a secure boot is retarded. Surely there was a better way to do this. Now, I know that they bragged about banning a bunch of cheaters in the beta, but it's a little much. My PC already has secure boot on, so it didn't bother me, but I know a lot of people whose computers took a huge shit because of this. Healing is extremely overtuned right now and needs to be nerfed hard. Sitting out of combat for a solid 6 seconds brings you back to full health. This needs to be nerfed badly. I mean like bad. Out of combat health regen should be the last way to acquire HP. The medic bag placed value on the medic in extreme ways. With health regen being so strong, it actually takes points away from the support class and encourages camping. Shoot a sniper in the chest, just give him 6 seconds, he'll be right back. If you pepper the fuck out of a sniper in the old games, he is forced to choose between risking his life killing you or running away and losing his position. If health regen remains this strong, there's nothing stopping people from holding positions for extreme amounts of time because chip damage effectively doesn't exist. Unfortunately, suppression fucking sucks. Again. Suppression was catching some flack on social media for suppressed enemies not being able to regen HP without a med bag. This is good, but it needs to do more. Suppression is not being rewarded for missing. You're literally denying an entire area from being approachable. You cannot walk into this line of fire without taking severe damage or dying. It's called denying area. I know you want to be here. I'm not letting you be here. But on top of that, Battlefield for a long time has had this thing called bullet dispersion. Battlefield 6 has it pretty bad, and it needs to be like reduced pretty harshly. Weapons like the base carbines get really bad cone levels of dispersion even after firing like 4 or 5 bullets. Regardless, every weapon has this except for bolt actions. So if you're firing for a long period of time, your aim will will become less accurate over that time and distance. This is fine, but this also means that suppression is a natural occurrence of all weapons in the series. Suppression should do a couple things. It should stop healing, it should add a visionette to your vision to reduce your vision cone and apply pressure, or at least add a minor one, and your aim should be reduced, and your aim spread should be increased at mid-range by 15 to 20%. You're not going to be able to suppress a shotgunner at close range, which is fine, but you should be able to suppress snipers. This means if a sniper's being suppressed or shot at for long periods of time, they should have trouble aiming. This counters people who aren't in embraced stances and gives more value to covering fire. If one of our allies is down, I bipod up and start spraying a hallway. Our third ally grabs our downed ally and drags him to safety. This is a core teamwork play that is possible in the series. Sorta. Suppression in Battlefield 6 only stops health regen. It doesn't do anything else. Suppression is completely worthless with only one debuff applied to enemies, and that's the reduced healing, which is countered by med bags. If I'm suppressing a hallway, you can come into that hallway and immediately shoot me in the head. My bipod stance still has severe bullet dispersion and moderate recoil, which is bad. I'm not asking to be a laser beam at all ranges, but if I have my bipod deployed, I should be gaining an accuracy buff in stances, which you hardly do. If I am suppressing a sniper that is beyond mid-range or long-range, they should not be able to accurately hit me in the head reliably. If they get a lucky shot, they get a lucky shot. They shoot me in the chest, they hit me in the chest. Under no circumstance should suppression do nothing. It's called suppression. It's supposed to stop you from being in your location. With suppression being the way it currently is, there's nothing stopping snipers from shooting you. There's nothing stopping other people from mowing you down from far away. And lastly, the UI could be better. It's kind of awful. It's really hard to tell who is what in the game, which doesn't bother me because, you know, outfits and silhouettes never meant much to me in Battlefield. But when I'm knocked down, I look for medics and I can't find any of them on the minimap. Usually, medics are displayed with a plus sign in this series, or any game for that matter. In this game, if you have a plus icon, that's a squad leader. I don't give a fuck who's the leader of another squad that isn't mine. Medics should be plus signs. End of discussion. Outside of a handful of buggy nitpicks and what I discussed here, Battlefield 6 is on its way to being another great installment in the series. I had a wonderful time, and I can't wait for next week. I'm drooling to get my hands on that beta again. Who knows what will change, or what will be buffed or nerfed, but what I do know is I'm waiting with bated breath for one of my favorite series to make a comeback of historical levels. Battlefield 6 is good, but never pre-order.